So how are you winning one vote at a time?
I'm out on the street in 22 districts talking to people individually, and I usually hand them a pamphlet with my picture on it, and they say, well, that's actually you. And I go, yeah, how many other councillors have personally asked you for their vote? And they go, none. And that, I think, is what the remarkable thing is, that campaigning on the street, I get a sense of people want to talk to me. They stop me. They say, I want to ask about this. I want to inquire about that. I've got a concern about this. And I get that kind of textural feedback that sometimes if you just run media campaigns, you don't get.
I'm just wondering, what are some of the differences between the '05 campaign and now in '08?
Well, I think clearly COPE, Vision, and the Greens have come together and are running a common slate, a slate that doesn't overlap. And that's to the benefit of us all, because Vision voters, COPE voters, and Green voters can all come out and cast a vote for a single slate of candidates. And I think that's beneficial. We didn't have that last time because there was some hardship about the people who had left the COPE party and created Vision. So we didn't have that. So we have that this time. We worked very hard. I think COPE played an absolutely strategic role in making that happen. And I think Gregor played a very strategic role in making that happen as well.
Well, you've obviously got an immensely popular candidate, and it's been one of the most interesting mayoral races that Vancouver's seen in a while. It's also brought up a real focus on the issues of homelessness and safe streets, and I know those are what Gregor's running under. Maybe you can touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, in the last 3 years, homelessness has grown by 22% under this current council. And in fact, the people who can't get into shelters has grown even larger. So we've got more and more and more people who are actually living on our streets, and more people who are couch surfing and don't have a permanent address. We need to address that. We have a homelessness action plan, and we need to put that into place and really make it work. We have BC Housing, which up at Little Mountain has got 200 units of social housing that are currently empty. Why do we have empty housing units when we have homelessness people? It makes absolutely no sense. And they want the affordability issue solved as well, because what's happening now is people are beginning to squeeze rental accommodation and squeeze people out of rental accommodation, and they cascade down looking for cheaper rental accommodation, which pushes more people out onto the street. We absolutely have to solve that.
Do you think Vancouverites are associating homelessness with crime, or do you think they see it as a separate social issue in Vancouver?
I think there's a relationship for sure, but it's mainly with the people who are mentally or drug addicted. Those people are the primary association with crime. And the reality is crime is going down, but the all other reality, and I was very surprised when the NPA decided they were going to run on a crime platform, because in 2006 they voted against 50 police officers. We voted for it and managed to get Kim Capri to come over with us. We passed it. In 2007, they voted against 65 police officers. We voted for it, and they agreed to only 17. And now in their final year, 2008, now they've said, okay, 98 police officers and 22 civilians, but the entire cost of that will be borne in 2009 and 2010 after this term of office, which means that we've had a 21% tax increase in 3 years for the residents of this city, and they've left a legacy of 11.5% for 2009 and probably another 11.5% for 2010. So we're looking at a 45% compounded tax increase for one term of government, without solving many problems, to be frank.
I know that really quickly, because we're running out of time. I know you have to pop back into council. What are David Cadman's 2 priorities once re-elected?
My priorities are going to be, one, that we solve homelessness, that we really put in place a plan to solve that. And that means implementing the standards of maintenance bylaw. We have now a situation where the firefighters are called in to close down a building because the roof is leaking. And I asked the staff, I said, have we been inspecting the roofs? And they go, well, no, we haven't. Well, we need to maintain the buildings. I think the other issue I want to see is I want to see improved public transit. We have a situation now where, having introduced the U-Pass when I was chair of the Finance Committee of TransLink, we now, the university students joke about it and say it's now the Pass U, because once it leaves Broadway and Commercial, it can't take on any more passengers all the way out to UBC. So we need to find a way. We're about 500 to 800 buses. We were supposed to have another 500 buses by 2006. We don't have them. Now we've got a plan for 2012. In reality, we ought to have another 800 800 to 1,000 buses in that time frame to be able to accommodate the kind of growth we can have. And clearly, if we want to address the issues of climate change, and we want to, and we're working with the province to do that, we need to make sure that people get into public transit and get out of the single occupant vehicle. And so making that walking, cycling, public transit user experience part of the environmental sustainability of Vancouver is an absolute key.
David, it's always a pleasure. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, they can get in touch with me by calling me at City Hall, 873-7244, or they can call up the COPE office, 255-0400. I'd love to talk to anybody who's got ideas, because we need ideas, and more importantly, we need people to engage in this election. This is one of the most important elections that we're going to have, and I'm a little bit fearful that with a federal election and 2 provincial by-elections, there's a little bit of election fatigue out there coming into the civic election. This is the level of government closest to you. This is the level of government that could do the most for you. You need to get some good people in here to make that happen.
Absolutely. David, once again, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah.